Hi from Dr. Barry here in Melbourne, Australia, and hi to my friends in Ireland, and thank you for the messages. Anyway, today I'm just going to reintroduce you to Brian Shaw, a very interesting, this is going back a few years back when Julia Gillard was in power and they committed treason and a lot of other things, and how crime pays, and crime really pays for some of these people. They got promoted. So have a look at this now. It's Brian Shaw a few years ago, and listen to what he's got to say. And if you like, press subscribe. I know it's very painful doing that, but it doesn't really matter anyway. But share the message and learn. Thank you for watching. Take care.
Did anyone consent to put that bottom one in? That's the point I'm saying, is the people of Australia don't know there's been a twist of all of this. And you're absolutely correct with that statement. Now here's Major General Michael Jeffery with the two key players. He was your former Governor General. He's also charged, he's one of the 54 defendants that have been through the Melbourne Magistrates Court. There's his charge sheet, and on the bottom it's not signed off because it says the original is with the court. That's the Melbourne Magistrates Court, plus the full court of the Supreme Court pending grand jury. John Howard, also charged on the 15th of December 2006, been concealed from the electorate because the charge would have stopped him from even nominating. There's his charge sheet, equally with the court, and it says Melbourne Magistrates Court, 15th of December 2006. Anybody know who that guy is? There is the name of the boy. Now, why is he an important player? Because when you lay a private prosecution charge, if it's laid under what you call Commonwealth legislation, the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions is supposed to come to the court and give you a hand to run the charge and go to the trial. That is the process. But in this case, Damien Bugg usually comes, shows up, asks the court that he's going to intervene and takes over the presentment, even though he is a defendant. That's where you've let your law go, Aussie. That's where you've let your law go. It's tragic, isn't it? Which in actual fact means that he can walk into a restaurant, eat free, rape the receptionist on the way out, be charged by the coppers on the main street, and then when it comes to court he'll say, I'm the Director of Public Prosecutions, I take over my own and do it. In fact, I'm going for lunch.
Wasn't he the guy in charge of Port Arthur?
Good question. Yes, he was the Director of Public Prosecutions in Tasmania at the Port Arthur massacre. That in itself will turn out to show why the man is probably a protected species within Australia. I won't go any further than that at this point. Defendants pending grand jury hearing, there's a fair list. They've all been through the Melbourne Magistrates Court. Every one of those has been charged, served and had to front the Melbourne Magistrates Court, usually defended by Damien Bugg, who's also a defendant. And there you have, in the Commonwealth bracket, you have Julia Gillard, John Howard, Kim Beazley, and there's Governor General Michael Jeffery, and so on. There's 54 there, and probably another 20 from other individuals. The full court of the Supreme Court of Victoria has been told not to hear them. There's not been one grand jury hearing pending this matter. Now we have Paul Coghlan, the former Director of Public Prosecutions in Victoria. He was equally charged because he kept coming to the court, taking over state jurisdictional work, and then walking out the same way as Damien Bugg did as the Commonwealth DPP. So Paul Coghlan got charged. What's happened to him since he was charged for this? He was elevated to be a Supreme Court judge. Jimmy McGinty. Well, Jimmy's got his own story, and a big one. But I'll give you a little story. Quite apart from the Attorney General, and quite apart from the fact that he's the one that introduced the bill that took the Crown, the monarch, and the Oath of Allegiance out of Western Australia on January 1, 2004, as the Attorney General of Western Australia, in cahoots with the Director of Public Prosecutions of Western Australia, Robert Cox, he has refused to prosecute a person on a paedophilia charge. Do you know who that person is? He was at the time a Catholic priest, and at the time of the offence, he was involved in the offence with a Catholic nun and another nun and a 4-year-old boy. That nun and the priest obviously left the priesthood and the nunnery, went on to marry. The nun is Jimmy McGinty's sister. The priest is now his brother-in-law, and they were, last time we found them on the internet, running family welfare stuff here in Brisbane. And he refuses to charge. I got the statement of the victim, who's now 32 years old, Leo McVeith, and he said, I don't want any retribution or whatever, I just want accountability. Here we have Rob Holes, Attorney General of Victoria. Now, Jimmy McGinty, Rob Holes, and the Director of Public Prosecutions, Commonwealth Damien Bugg, have all issued civil writs against me in Victoria and in Western Australia to shut me up. Has it worked? No, but now it's starting to come back to bite them, because they actually said, we've just got to shut this guy up. Now here we have the Masonic Lodge. Well, hello, there's no big pardons here. That's James Marley. At the time he was the Grand Master of the Masonic Lodge in Perth. Standing beside him is Sue Walker. She's a politician in the West Australian Parliament. She also runs her own law firm. At one stage she said this, which is recorded in Hansard's in Western Australia: if Mr McGinty wishes to finish his law degree, he can come to my law firm for a year and finish his articles. So what did she discover or expose? What she said was their current Attorney General didn't finish his articles. And he's put through an act that took out the Queen, the Oath of Allegiance and the Crown as an article clerk. For God's sake, Aussie, I'm a farmer. Where the hell have you been? I'm saying that quite passionately. Because if you don't do something, they're doing it on you. He's charged. He was charged in the Perth Petty Sessions by us. On the day that he thought he would get off it, and he brought his UB barrister looking for adjournment, the magistrate said, I'll grant you the adjournment. Stand up, Mr. Maley. He then stood up with his Masonic gear on, not that, his blazer, which meant I'm here on official business. The magistrate just said, serious indictable offences, post bail before you leave. So that man has been placed on bail for taking unlawful oaths in West Australia, i.e. do they have an Act of the Parliament to take the oath they take as Freemasons? It's as simple as that. We can run the oath, we don't want to do it here. Well, hello, anyone recognise that little handshake? Now, please tell me it was an accidental thing. And Kevin really loved it, and she made it quite emphatic. And Kevin would have got the instruction and learned how to do it, probably in the lodge here in Brisbane. Probably, I'm saying allegedly, probably, whatever, with a whole lot of others who are taught how to do it. Meaning, if you do not know how to do this, you won't get very far in politics. It's another government. That's the one that's doing the number on the Aussie. Now what do we find? Queen Elizabeth II, the most venerable order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem. That means, as the monarch of England, or purportedly, she actually holds a Vatican Masonic rank, because it was the Vatican that formed the Knights of St. John of Jerusalem. So how come an English monarch hold the Vatican rank? I'm only an Aussie, a farmer. So I just can't work out, hang on, what side of the issue are you on? And there we have Queen Victoria's son, who was the head of all Blue Lodge Freemasonry around 1880 or whatever. And it was him that was able to get the Knights of St John of Jerusalem back into England in 1888. He's the one that succeeded Queen Victoria